talk about sets. So set is an unordered collection of unique elements. And to create a set, we use curly brackets like this. And then each item is separated with a comma. So here we've created a set. So now let's preview our set. And as you remember, I mentioned that there's no specific order to this set. So as you can see, when I created the set, I put item 1 first, item 2 next, and item 3 last. But here, when I printed out my set, since it does not maintain order, I can see that item 2 is first, item 3 is next, and item 1 is last, which is not the exact same order that we created the set. Now, let's look at how we can add items to our set. To add an item to our set, we simply use the .add method. So it'll look like this. This time, let's add a number. So now when I run my code, as you can see, the number 1 has been added to this set. Now, suppose we want to add a few more numbers. In this case, we'll use number 2. So in this case, we've added the number 2 twice. And if I run my code, we can see that we see only one number 2, even though we added 2 add commands for the number 2. This has to be a unique element. So the second 2 is not added, or the second 2 replaces the first 2. So we have only one occurrence of 2 in our set. So now let's try to remove an item from our set. And you can take a wild guess of what keyword we will need to remove an item from our set. That keyword is remove. So in this case, we're going to remove the number 1. And if I run my code, as you can see, the number 1 has been removed. One interesting thing we can use a set for is to remove duplicates from a list. Now I'll show you exactly how we will do that. So in this case here, we have a list, and in this list, we have a whole bunch of duplicates. We have a lot of 3s, some 4 duplicates, and even the 1 here is a duplicate. So in order to convert this list into a set, we just have to use a set keyword and then surround this list, just like that. So now this list has been converted to a set, and we're assigning that to the mySet variable. So now if I run my code, now we only have the unique data items. So now I can just easily convert this back into a list, just like this. So here, as you can see, I have converted this mySet variable back into a list. And now if I print out my list, I can see that there's a difference between my original list and this list. And in this list, all the duplicates have been removed. So this is an interesting trick that we can use to remove duplicates from our list. And also we can easily remove all the elements of our sets by using the clear method. And now if I print out my set, it should be an empty set, just like that. So to make things more interesting, I've added 2 extra sets here, set 1 and set 2. And you will notice that in set 1, all the data items include some type of alphabetical letter. And in set 2, all the data items include some type of number. Okay, and that's the difference between this set1 and set2. So suppose I want to basically get all the data items that are in set1 and set2. So this would be a combination of everything here. So in order to do that, we're going to use a keyword or a method called union. Okay. And this will show all the data items. So now if I run this code, as you can see, this basically combined both sets, and now we have this. So now suppose instead of displaying everything that is in the set or in both sets, I want to only display the common items. Okay, so the only items that exist in both sets 1 and sets 2. So this would basically be all the items that have both letters and numbers. So in that case, I would use a different method. And this method is called the intersection method. So as you can see here, we have some items here like H2O that exist both in sets 1 and sets 2. And items like that will be displayed when I use intersection. So if I run my code, as you can see, the two items that are common in both sets is H2O and MOU5E. There are some pretty interesting things that we can do with sets. So aside from getting the data items that are common between sets, we can also get the differences between sets. For instance, let's say I wanted to get everything that is unique in set 1 that is not in set 2. Okay. These are basically items that we can't find anywhere else but in set 1. So to do that, I'll use a different method. And this method is called a difference. So if I run my code, just like that, I can see that the items that are unique to set 1 are music and code. So in a similar manner, I can also basically flip this around just like that. So now I'll get all the unique items that are in set 2 that don't exist anywhere else in any other set. So basically, this is looking for items that are just numbers only. If I run my code, as you can see, we get the correct output. So now let's try something else, okay? So suppose we want to remove everything that is common between set 1 and set 2 and show only things that are unique in set 1 and things that are unique in set 2. And to do that, we just use a different method called symmetric difference. So now if I run my code, this is my output, which is basically everything that is not a combination of both letters and numbers. So there's even more that we can do with these sets. We can also check if one set is inside or within another set. And we can do that with a method called isSubset. So once again, this is checking if set 2 is inside set 1. If I run this code, I get false because it is not a subset. And to get the opposite, we can use another method called superset. And once again, we get false. But suppose we had a set that looks like this. So in this case, set 2 would be a subset of set 1 because all the items in set 2 are in set 1. So if I do is subsets here, as you can see, the result here is true. And finally, the last method that we can use for set is the disjoint method. Okay. And disjoint basically means that the sets don't intersect each other. So now if I run my program, this will return false because the sets actually intersect with each other. But let's say instead of 2, 3 here, I had 5 and 6. So here, the sets are completely different and they don't intersect each other. If I run my code, I get true.